Robert stood, hands in pockets, looking out across the creek. He imagined that it must be peaceful to live here in the houseboats, away from the crowded terraces of the city, though perhaps a tight squeeze for a family of 4. He had inquired without success about renting one in order to get Gudrun and the children some distance from the dockyard and HMS Vernon Shore base.
We were in the church hall till that got hit. Then someone told Mum about the houseboats. Not sure why they call them that. They ain't nothing like a house. Half our street's gone. Houses sliced open. Bedrooms on show. It's all jagged walls, torn paper and rubble now. Mrs. Kelly crammed her family into the basement. They all got buried. Suppose they were together. Something.
She looks deep into my eyes, holds my face in her sweaty palms. She needs me to know, to understand, to feel the weight of her words. I love you. I love you. I love you. I count the creases around her eyes, little ladders that lead to the warmth within. Her breath is bitter on my cheeks. You hear me? I love you. I love you. I love you.
Edward King was a very well-respected painter in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He exhibited at Crystal Palace and at the Royal Academy. He was admired by Van Gogh. He was a very busy painter. He was being commissioned. When his wife died in 1924, he became unwell. He suffered from mental health problems, and he came to what used to be known as Portsmouth Borough Lunatic Asylum, but is now known as St James's Hospital. And he actually stayed for 26 years until he died at the age of 88 in 1951. And that's why we wanted to honour him by writing stories inspired by his paintings. Teddy is the twist in the light beneath the ripples and shadows of the oak leaves. He is the shimmering stones beneath lazy waves. He is Gunning's wavering calf disconnected from his upper leg. He would see some trees by a wall with a pinkish horizon beyond and would think, I could make that light. White, with a touch of raw sienna, a little ochre, alizarin and white for the pinkness, sap green for the far distant trees, and the tiniest dab of ultramarine in white for the milky blue sky. I could find a balance between the light, shade and shadow. Yes, I could.
Well, Edward King's art stands up to comparison with any artist working in the first half of the 20th century. But he's also important to Portsmouth because of what he painted. The paintings that he did of Portsmouth in the 1940s have become historical documents. They're visual records of a time that's soon to pass out of living memory. So his images of bomb-damaged buildings, of Milton Locks, of the houseboats, of St James's Hospital are amongst a small number of visual records that we have of that time because there was so much less photography. So very significant. I think that Edward King's paintings are just stories waiting to happen. He sets a scene, he gives you the weather, he gives you beautiful blue skies or rainy streets with the water shining on the cobbles, and he gives you a shadowy cast of characters, tiny little figures made up of 2 or 3 brush strokes, sort of skulking in the background, and you immediately want to know, who are they? Why are they there? What are they doing? What will happen next? And it's just almost like a stage play waiting to be brought to life. And I'm thrilled with the stories that have been written and the way that they have brought not only the paintings, but the rather sad, I think, life of Edward King himself, how they've been brought to life and how they're encouraging us to ask more questions of our own and think about the stories that we would write ourselves. So I couldn't be more pleased with how the project has gone.
We too are the boats on the water at the lock. We are the bombed shells of houses, the upright yearning of poplars. The light plays upon us. It fills us with colour. So we are pure again. And when that happens, we are, and the world is beautiful. Through paint, everything is transfigured.
She leaned back, exhausted suddenly. Closing her eyes, she drank in the warmth of the morning sunshine. Another old man was watching her. She'd seen him before with his sketchbook and his pencils. She strode towards him, her mouth contorted in fury, about to demand by what right he observed her, drew her, judged her, when he stopped her dead in her tracks. "I'm sorry for your loss." Elsie felt tears prick the back of her eyes. She couldn't remember the last time she cried, nor could she remember the last time anyone spoke so gently to her. When I originally looked at the paintings, I looked at them online and I picked a totally different painting, but then I came down here to the museum and looked at the exhibition and I was absolutely overwhelmed by the quality, the impact, the resonance. I loved the palette, this very, very muted palette that King used, but also drenched in sunshine, which seems to me such an extraordinary sort of comment on the ravages that he was recording. And in particular, this canvas spoke to me. The scale of it is extraordinary.
King could not have survived a life outside St James's. Without Amelia, he fell derelict. Unresponsive to his body's basic needs, he crumbled, as shattered and as blown apart as the city that he painted in its paralysed serenity. Only the mornings after the evening's bombing raids made their way onto his canvases. Only the shocked stillness that followed the bombs that shredded Portsmouth got preserved. King recorded no panic in his art, only a blasted calm. No chaos touched his work.
What we are trying to do is to raise awareness of the issues of mental health in the community and to have people have a conversation about mental health as they would about any other physical thing. And this kind of event is ideal because it's clearly about a very local area. It's about mental health issues in history. And it's one of those kind of projects where they're bringing together writers, people with lived experience, community, theatre. It's an ideal event to raise awareness.
The stories that have been produced by the writers on the project are absolutely amazing. There's a really diverse approach to interpreting the paintings. So we've got stories set in wartime Portsmouth, we've got contemporary stories about hidden depression, stories set on houseboats at Milton Locks, and also stories that are inspired by Edward King's life. So there's this huge breadth of variety of the stories, and we've been performing them in pop-up readings around the city in various locations, at allotments and in cafes and in parks and at museums. And we've also performed them at our local New Theatre Royal and in the gallery space at Portsmouth Museum next to the paintings that inspired stories as well. So I think we've achieved our goal of honouring and celebrating Edward King. Even if his paintings are packed away and returned to storage, the stories will live on and hopefully even more people will come to know and love his paintings as we do.
Bombs are pounding on our island, pocked with poverty, carving teeth from walls where rubble fills the cavities. To depict it on a canvas seems obscenity. If it's insanity, you may label me insane. 7 times last night we trudged through the asylum to the shelter. 7 times the air raid sirens wave my friends off to the farm. I say a prayer they'll not be harmed as into town. Down Locksway Road I head. We rise early here in St. James Infirmary, head out on the farm, the outbuildings, the laundry. Every morning I walk down to Old Portsea, carry easel paints and canvas as the ships sail off to sea, and the The people here, they know me, every latest bomb they show me, and I take a brush to paint the city's woes. Mallow purple, saffron yellow, Saturn red. Sketch the outlines of the buildings where the dwellers mourn their dead. Chinese coral and flax blue, lavender reminds me of you, and I paint a face with memories tinged blood red.